the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes, getting it done any means, get rid of these snakes. Now I'm up in my stakes, going all in like steps, get rid of these breaks. Now I ain't never gonna break, double my pace till I go down one of the greats. One of the greats, whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Having fun, so that's all.
We like the life. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. It's a Monday morning. I'm Christian Brindle, Glenn Shelton. This is episode 160, and it is the week of October 1st on a Wednesday. This in a couple days, actually. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about
a couple days.
The sky is not falling, and anybody that says so is dumb. We're going to talk about this, okay?
That's not what Conspiracy Mehmet told me this morning. Conspiracy Mehmet's right behind me. He had a completely different story.
He had a different view all around. Monday morning, good sir. How was your weekend?
Yes. Monday morning, guys. Welcome to the podcast. It was good. The Ducks won. That was a fantastic football game. Saturday night, I got to watch most of. One thing that happened this weekend, for those of you who don't know, I have three kids, 5, 10, and 13. What's starting to happen, and this is kind of a warning for you, Christian, as now that you're a father of multiple children, when your kids start to get bigger, they will get to a point where they can gang up on you. You know, individually, I can take on any of my children, right? If it comes to like we're wrestling, we're fighting. Collectively, though, what's starting to happen is if all three of them attack me at the same time, it can be very difficult. And what actually happened when I was watching this Oregon Ducks game is we were fighting over the TV. I was like, guys, I'm watching the football game. I'm like, you guys watch, your cartoons all day, 24/7. I'm like, this is my time to watch a show for a second. And then it just turned into a wrestling match. And it was genuinely difficult to fight off three at once. So I know your kids are very young, Cyrus, not even a year yet, but eventually you're going to have this moment. Maybe you'll look back and you'll think about this conversation. You're going to look back. Cyrus is going to be just, take you down to the floor. Maybe he'll have you in like an arm bar and you're going to be like, Glenn tried to warn me. Glenn tried to warn me that this was coming. So that was kind of my weekend. I got to play soccer, Dad, a little bit. I'm wanting to hear about your weekend, though, good sir. It looked like you may have been a bit of a party animal this weekend. Am I right in that?
I would not go that far.
Blowing off some pre-AEP steam, perhaps.
I went to my first concert of the year with my brother, so that was fun. We went to see 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin on Saturday night. But the interesting thing about it was, I have to help my wife with the feedings of the baby, right? So basically, I'm leaving her with both kids by herself. So she's like all day on Saturday before I leave. She's like, I'm going to need you to do this. I'm going to need you to do that. I'm going to need you to do this. I'm going to need you to do that. And and I'd be like, I'm already doing this. Could you do this? She's like, no, because you're leaving me alone with the kids. I'm like, fuck. And then I come back. I don't get home till like probably midnight. And then I have to be up at 4:30 for his feed because I do his feed at that time of the day. So I get up, do his feed. And then, he won't let me go back to sleep after that. He's wide awake. He's ready to rock and roll. So, yeah, Sunday I was just wiped out, and then last night he was just a total asshole. Like he just wouldn't, he wouldn't go to sleep.
Like shaking, you're like, I'm rocking him. I'm not shaking him. I'm rocking him. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to sleep. Yeah. I remember those days.
Yeah. And so you know, it was fun and everything, but I paid for it for sure because I still had all of my fatherly duties to do despite all of that. So yeah, it was very much a dad's weekend and everything in between. But we got to go out and do some things. We went out and swam. We got to swim for like 45 minutes, and then someone took a crap in the pool, and we had to leave. Yeah, I'm serious. I was so bummed too because we were having so much fun. Like me and Violet went swimming, and we were having so much fun. And then they're like, all right, everybody out.
Money.
Everybody out.
Hard-earned money to see a video footage of that moment of you learning. Learning that it's, but even just you understanding that.
It was on the other side of the pool. I felt pretty secure in my location.
You felt safe. Okay.
It was on the other side of the pool. But yeah, it got cut short. We had banked 2 hours for this swim and everything like that. So a lot of daddy daycare type of activities this weekend.
Daddy daycare. Oh man. What's funny is I was listening to Joe Rogan this morning at the gym. He just had Matthew McConaughey on recently. I only got like halfway through the interview so far. Pretty good episode. Spent a lot of time talking about AI, which this is kind of neither here nor there, but they both were like trying to talk about it, but then like humble brag that they don't use AI at the same time. It was a really weird stance they were trying to take. Like Joe's like, I was using AI for like 2 hours last night, but I've only used it for like 10 times total before. It's like, I don't know what you're trying to prove here, but the crazy part of the reason I bring this up is the episode was like 2,379. And like when we, us being on episode 160 of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, I'm like, man, we've done so many episodes. This is crazy. Like, I feel like we've talked about everything. We've already had so much content. And then looking at someone like Joe and seeing that he's on episode almost 2,400, I'm like, man, that's not even 10%. We're not even 10% to 2,000 yet. So stay tuned, guys. We're coming. We're coming for episode 2,000.
One day we'll get there.
Yes.
The Christian Brindle YouTube channel might not have 2,400 videos, but it does have like 1,600 videos on it.
That's crazy, dude.
So shameless plug for that channel.
That's an incredible amount of content. Like truly, it really is. Like I spent some time thinking about it this morning. Like over 1,000 videos of anything is an incredible amount of content.
Hang on, now I don't want to be disingenuous. Yeah. When I look it up online, it says 1.6K videos on that channel, on the Christian Brindle channel. So I mean, we're closing in on 2,000 videos on that channel.
This honestly might be a really good spot to transition into the sponsor of today's episode.
Absolutely.
Christian, take us away here.
Haven't. We wanted to do something to help out a lot of you going into
audio's off. Your audio's off.
I've done this in the past.
Hang on 1 second, you guys. We're gonna get.
How about now, Mike? Check.
There we go.
Okay.
We're back.
We wanted to do something special for you guys to help as many of you as possible have the best AEP that you can. I mean, we're talking a lot about how we believe that there's unlimited potential, really, this AEP for a lot of you. But for a lot of you, it's crazy. Like we'll have these conversations on the show, and I'll have them, with other agents. I know you have them with people that you network with. We have them together offline. And there just seems to be so much optimism from all of the big boys in the space that this AEP has the potential to be one of the best opportunity-wise of all time. But then I'll get on the Facebook group and I'll just see the doom and gloom, right? Which ties into, this episode today. And so many of you just don't get it. You don't understand how much opportunity there is. And, it's kind of sad in a way. And so, we wanted to put something together to help you guys really be successful. I did a live stream last night talking about this in the Facebook group. But if you didn't see it, one of the things I said was there's kind of two things that will really derail an agent's career. Number one is, obviously they get into it for the wrong reasons. They don't want to put the work in on their end. So that's a big portion of it. But the second one is, I think, legitimately not having access to good quality guidance and training on what they should be doing and the right way to grow the business. And I think there's a lot of careers that fall victim to that. Like, what do I do? How do I do it? Is the way I'm doing it the best way possible to do it? And so because of that, we wanted to make it available, that training available to everybody. So many of you know we have an online training platform called Seven Figure University. It is 250 videos-ish, give or take. It's multiple courses kind of smooshed into one. So it has Seven Figure Medicare University, my online training platform I started building in 2020. Glenn's training course, how to present and sell final expense and Medicare Supplement to seniors. Longest.
So close.
time.
So close. That's the closest you've ever been, and I'm really
I
proud
thought I
of
had
you,
it.
honestly.
I thought I had it. Okay.
How to qualify, present, and sell. It's QPS. Think QPS. Qualify,
UPS,
present,
okay.
and sell. QPS, okay?
But no, I remember going through Glenn's course. He gave me free access to it. What a sweetheart, back in 2020, 2021, something like that. And I remember going through it, and I'm like, he put a lot of effort into it, a lot of really good production value, good training. It's, if you like the whiteboard type of training, he does a great job with that. And it's great. So we included that at no extra cost. And then, of course, we have a Go High Level course. And then for the first time ever, we put out a course about how to find and purchase Medicare books of businesses, a mini course we put out earlier this year that's about 10 videos long. In the last couple of years, we've purchased over 2,000 Medicare clients and acquisitions. And we just kind of combined everything of what we've learned along the way, mistakes we've made, what you should look for, everything like that. So, so much content, so much guidance, so much training. Usually it's a $5,000 investment. That's what we've been charging for it all year. Not per year, by the way, for lifetime access, which essentially is still a bargain. We've decided to discount it over 85% before the end of the day today to $695.95. Okay. It's 86%, give or take, discount, and it's lifetime access. You never have to pay a reoccurring subscription to it. But in addition to that, you get invited to my weekly trainings throughout the year before AEP that I do every year. You get access to all the new content we're going to put into it in the future, all the updates, everything like that. It's such a bargain. And so that will be available until the end of the day today. We highly want to make sure that as many of you as possible have access to Seven Figure University, so that way you have proper guidance, so this AEP isn't squandered.
Yes,
because I fear for many of you, you're going to squander the opportunity that is this AEP.
Gonna try to keep Dark Christian as contained as possible on the pod today, you guys. for those of you who might get offended by anything Dark Christian says, the thing that's happening too, I want to stress this for those of you who might be on the fence here about getting access to Seven Figure University. And again, we'll make sure the link looks like Mr. Randy already dropped the link in the comments below the stream. If you're not in the Seven Figure Medicare Facebook group, just head over to sevenfigureu.com. That's sevenfigureu.com, sevenfigureu.com. And you can take advantage of this massive discount. What's happening is we're going to be transitioning after today. This is the last day we're giving away lifetime access. I want to explain a little bit why the lifetime access is going away. We want, moving forward, especially going into 2026, we want to start investing a lot of money in addition to our time and energy into the university, as well as our technology platform, Seven Figure CRM, which it will become one. And we actually have an invoice sitting in our inbox right now with a developer to enhance really that technology. And this is something we're planning on building on and really trying to put you guys in a position to win going into 2026. So I'm really excited about that piece of it. And this is kind of our way of trying to get as many agents in as possible before we do make that transition as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll be really powerful for those of you who do take advantage of the promotion now, because again, this isn't just a one-time access. I think where a lot of people who might get jaded by past offers is, I know there's a lot of people in this space where they filmed videos like 7, 8, 10 years ago, and they were maybe good back then, and now they're really not applicable. And maybe some of them aren't good. This is content that's being given to you every single week, and a database of content that's being updated all the time. So if a video, and Christian's been really, really good about this, if a video is no longer applicable or if it needs to be replaced, that video gets thrown out. So that's something that I think really sets apart Seven Figure University from a lot of these other training platforms in the space. Not only is it super in-depth with what's actually in there content-wise, but it's also being kept up to date in a way that I'd say probably 9.5 out of 10 training platforms aren't. So just wanted to make that clear for any of you who are kind of interested. Maybe you're on the fence. Take a look, sevenfigureu.com.
Yes. Offer expires at midnight tonight, so make sure to get in while you can. All right, let's shift gears into the main topic of the show.
Every time you say shift gears, I picture like a manual car shift. You're like, let's shift gears. I'm like, okay, hang on. We're in main topic mode.
It's a stick. It's a clutch. Hit the clutch. Hit the clutch.
I'm in main topic mode now.
Clutch. No, I do feel like the topic today, though, is really important and really necessary. It's hilarious to me how many people will see like our titles of things without watching any full length or context of what we're talking about. So like, we might talk about a carrier making some plans non-commissionable, right? Or something like that. And they're like, these guys are doom and gloom. And I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, literally the opposite. We're telling you not to be doom and gloom. We're telling you that there's lots of opportunity and that you can grow your business exponentially. We're just letting you know what's going on and how you can adjust.
And then you have the flip side of it too, though. You have people, when we're trying to explain what's going on and trying to give you guys ammunition on how you can be successful, then you got the other people coming in and they're commenting like, the industry's in crisis right now. How dare you try to sugarcoat this? How dare you? So it's like, I don't know how we can win if we're it's like on one side of it, it's like if we go too far one way, there's these two sides, and it just seems like we get eaten alive no matter which direction we take this conversation. I don't know. I'm at a loss if I'm being perfectly honest with how some of you are treating this AEP.
And admittedly, right, like I've gotten so annoyed by it the last like week or two, and I know I'm not the only one. I've seen people that like have large downlines start to lash out at people, not just me. I've seen carrier reps
lashing out.
I've seen carrier reps like lashing out at people on these webinars. Are like, just answered that. Or just
pour one out for the carrier reps, you guys. This AP, the punching bag of the industry at the moment.
Not just a punching bag, but like a glorified babysitter most of the times.
Yeah,
and I feel for them. I really do. Like I've been on several of these webinars the last week or so, and I'm just like, my heart aches for them. Like there was a webinar I was on last week, like early in the week, and there's like 200 or 300 agents on, and all the questions are bad questions and dumb questions. All of them. They're questions that were already answered. They're just a bunch of like children on a Zoom call. Can I have chocolate milk? Like, and so this carrier rep calls me, same one that did this webinar later in the week, just making sure that we were good. We had everything we needed in our office, everything like that. And I took the time to tell him, be like, listen, I'm like, I feel for you guys, what you're going through right now with these agents. I'm like, we're good. we understand what's going on. We're, we don't need any hand holding. I really appreciate you reaching out, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I know you're in a tough spot, and you're trying to give them chocolate milk, and they don't need chocolate milk. Uh-oh. Did I lose your audio? Can you hear me?
Was I muted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You were muted for a second.
My headset died on me. The other thing that's happening that I think we talked a little bit about this before too, is the lack of listening, right? So, you mentioned like, it's like children. It does feel like that, where it's like, you could take the time to explain like, hey, little Billy, like eating 10 cookies before dinner is going to upset your tummy, and then you won't eat your dinner. And it's bad for you. The sugar, like you could get right. Like and then little Billy's like, I don't get cookies. You're telling me I don't get cookies?
My daughter has been starting to wet the bed lately at night.
Yeah.
And she wants to drink gobs of water before bed. She's like, I'm very thirsty.
Yeah. I've gone through this before.
So I'm taking the time to explain to her, be like, listen. So it's like just me talking to little Billy. Listen, little Billy. Listen, Violet, daughter. Same.
Different.
Listen, little Billy. If you don't want to wet the bed, you should start drinking water earlier in the day, right? We shouldn't be drinking water 30 minutes before bed or something like that. You're going to be full of liquid and you might wet the bed.
Yep.
And, little Billy's like, give me the water. He's like, understood. And I'm like, I don't think you do understand.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of that going on. And, but anyway, like I've gotten frustrated about it. And my message has just been like, get out of the industry. If that's you, like, I'll help you get out. I'll help you.
We'll take your book. We'll buy your book. We'll get you set up. Home Depot's hiring $20 an hour.
Yeah.
We can get you set up. I think so. So there's a lot. Obviously, this is something I've continued to think a lot about. And part of it is that I think we've been in the industry so long and we've seen and heard so much that, like, even when there's more chaos than normal, I don't feel like it reaches the threshold. The other part of this too is obviously we've grown a lot significantly as a company. The book of business has grown a lot. And I will say, with everything that's going on, in some ways that's an advantage. I guess technically, depending on your market, if you're not set up correctly, it might be a disadvantage if you have a big book and you've got to rewrite a bunch of people and it's just you. I know those agents exist too. I've talked to you guys. But I think part of what we're seeing is these newer agents who are either brand new or they've never really written business or they've only been in the industry a few years and they're used to things being a certain way. And any type of change is registering as like a 12 out of 10 on their radar. And for us, it's like, oh, this is like a 5 out of 10. This is kind of just more of the same. That's kind of how I feel like our private conversations have gone. It's like,
and I almost feel like too, another aspect of this conversation is there's that, but then there's also the people that look at this on a fundamentally unstable type of perspective that they have, right? Like it's not just that this is tough to go through right now, it's that the industry is fundamentally changing under our feet.
Yes.
And the opportunities going away, and this will be basically the start of the end of the agents. Like that
the rapture of the Medicare industry is happening right now. Some of us will ascend, others will be left behind.
Yes,
it's true though. There's some what's the best title for these individuals? Some like doomsday
anarchists,
some doomers, anarchists, some doomers out there who are like, this is the end. Someone had I think it was Andrew Furman. He had a meme he shared on your post. It was Homer Simpson. The end is near. You know that meme? The end is near. Homer Simpson's walking around. He's ringing the bell. There's some of you that are literally, that's all you're doing. You're not planning on writing really any business, but you've got the end is near. You've got your sign on and you're just ringing your bell. And you're like, the end is near. The end is near. Get out.
And that's really the narrative that I want us to really address on today's episode, right?
That's the title. Yes.
It's one of those things where I feel like, it's damaging, right? Like, so
very damaging.
Classic example, right? Before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this, we have an ad running for the Facebook group right now to like just bring awareness to it and let more Medicare agents know that the Facebook group's around, because it's a free resource that we've been running for years. I created it in 2020, right? And it's helped a lot of agents find their footing in the industry. It's helped them kind of really understand what's going on and what's what. Someone comments on my post, and more or less, without getting into the verbatim messaging, it was like, I don't think I would tell a new agent to get into the business. It's not a good time to get into the business right now. The industry's in a bad spot, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I commented underneath her comment, and I just basically said, I'm like, yeah, it's impossible that, maybe we know something you don't, and I'm like,
yeah.
and then I was so annoyed. I screenshotted it, threw it in the group, and I'm like, if this is you, like, if this is your type of thinking, why don't you just get out?
I guess they're getting some type of pleasure from spreading that message. I don't know if it's like misery wants company, if that's the type of vein that's being struck here, where it's like, I don't know. I guess I think social media has really just set ablaze what would have probably been a much smaller fire, but you have something that, again, some of these key trigger words get hit: non-commissionable, commissions being cut, plans being terminated, and those doomers, the doomers and the Chicken Little agents, they team up and they just go wild. They go wild with spreading this narrative. So it's unfortunate that Dark Christian had to come forward, but it's ultimately the same path that I feel like was inevitable. It was like, initially what we were really trying to do is to really outline, like, hey, here's what's really going on. Here's how you can still have an incredible AEP, even if your local market got decimated, which there's a few that did. Maybe 5% of the national market got decimated, and you might be in that market, and there's still strategies that you can implement to have a killer AEP, have your best AEP ever. And when the pendulum swings back, which it definitely will, you'll probably be on top in a way you didn't even imagine that you could be, This episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by the 7 Figure University. 7figureuniversity.com is a culmination of Christian Brindle's and mine's educational videos that we have developed over the past 2 decades of combined experience in the senior insurance space. There's more than 250 videos, hundreds of hours of content that can help you become a top producer or a top producing agency in the senior insurance space. We're talking about videos of how to work with specific carriers, how to do different types of marketing, such as seminars or Facebook advertising, how to generate content in the niche to help grow your business, how to grow an agency, all sorts of things. There's so much value in this. It's unbelievable. Christian, what do agents need to know about 7 Figure University?
7 Figure University can best be thought of as an agency blueprint in a box that's put together for you, that brings you step by step in every facet of building a successful 7-figure insurance agency, and lays it out all in front of you so you can follow along. Whether you guys need help with marketing, whether you guys need help with branding, whether you guys need help with hiring, training, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, automation, you name it, it's covered in this course. Not only that, you get access to my weekly training calls every Thursday that go from January through the end of September, on a week-to-week basis. And you can attend those live and ask questions live. And then, of course, the recordings are put into the university afterward if you can't attend it and make the live training. So there's just so much value. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's a great investment into your business to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, but also kind of point you in the right direction in various things that you're struggling with.
Some of the best training you'll be able to find, you guys, in one spot for one price. Go to sevenfigureuniversity.com and learn more.
Let's get back to the show. So transitioning into the conversation about like, why is the sky not falling, right?
Yeah.
Like we've analyzed what's going on and why it's going on into the ground. I feel like, especially over the last month, I don't feel like getting into it again. About
You don't want to?
I really don't. I spoke with
You don't
an
want
agent.
to talk about it again?
No. I spoke with an agent on the phone last week who was like, no idea what's going on, coming out of hibernation for AEP. It was like, it's like a bear that was asleep, and it's like, It's not springtime, right? It's like Armageddon outside.
Yeah.
He's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Where's my honey?
I had one of those too.
And,
I had one of those last week too.
And it's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I really don't want to talk about it. I'm like,
I'm done talking about this.
I'm like, especially on one-off conversations,
Yeah. Ask somebody else.
Yeah. I'm like, or go watch my podcast. Like I've documented it probably as well as anybody that I know of. We have really covered this really well. But anyway,
Why is it not falling though?
Why is the sky not falling? So assuming
why
that you guys,
little agents, why are they wrong, Christian? Tell us.
Assuming that you guys know the whole backstory in terms of why this is happening, right? Inflation Reduction Act, $2,000 cap, shifting of the landscape. But let's just say maybe you've heard it, but you don't believe it. Okay. So let's go back to multiple times throughout history in our industry. When this first started really becoming a thing and a topic of conversation earlier in the year, there were non-commissionable plans that were coming out in the first 1 to 2 quarters of the year, right? There were carriers putting them out. And at the time, the carriers were saying, we were doing it now, so we don't have to do it before AEP. And then they did more before AEP anyway. So that was nice. Very, very genuine. But anyway, at that time, I gave an example of the ACA, and I also gave an example of the ACA when you were I think traveling, and I did a couple shows solo. I gave an example of the ACA. I think the ACA is the best comparable that you can have in recent memory. Andrew Saul also talked about this last week. My whole thing was like, I've been saying this, I agree. I think he hit it right on the head. But, so ACA comes in what year? 2009, 2010, something like that. It was a transformational, fundamental shift of the way under 65 individual health insurance plans could be offered. Because if you think about it, prior to the ACA, insurance companies could ask health questions, underwrite people, and discriminate. Either charge super high premiums for people that had health problems or just decline people altogether.
Yeah.
But people that were healthy were able to get lower premiums. ACA comes in, they're not allowed to ask health questions anymore, right? We all know the story. And it was a fundamental shift. That market went through a transitionary period for many years, for like 5 to 7 years before it really started to pick up again. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't business to be had during that 5 to 7 years. It's just the public perception of it was that there wasn't. And the entire landscape needed to change, right? Healthcare.gov was formed to kind of handle all of this, right? That took some time. You saw a lot of carriers decide we don't want to be in the ACA business anymore. They completely pull out. In my state, in Utah, when I first came in 2014, there was a local, I've talked about this a little bit, carrier that the government created. You heard that right. It was a government-created insurance company called Arches Healthcare.
I don't
And-
know if I knew this.
And it was created to breed competition because there wasn't enough insurance companies offering plans in our market. There was like one or two at the time on the ACA. So they put Arches out. What happened to Arches? Why haven't you heard of it today? Well, because it went bankrupt and is gone now. Thanks, government.
McDonald's sued them into the ground for using the word arches.
Gilded Arches. But, you know, a word that I'd use to describe that, the government creating an insurance company to bring out more competition, unprecedented, I might say.
Oh.
But this is not a new thing that happened. This is something that happened 11 years ago, right? Commissions needed to stabilize. Everything needed to stabilize. And I'm not even saying this is just dramatic as that. I don't believe that it is. That was way more of a radical change to the DNA of what an individual health insurance plan could be than this is. But you look at that, right? People said there's no money in ACA. You shouldn't be in ACA. And, you know, it's one of those things where people stuck it through it. People stayed in the ACA business. And a lot of those people made extremely good livings for themselves and made a lot of money. Yep. Going back even farther, I only know this because I heard stories at the time. My father, for those of you that don't know, was a Medicare agent in the 90s, early 2000s. We bought his agency about 3 years ago or so. And in the 90s, 96, 97, I don't remember the exact year, there was managed care like plans at the time, at least in Utah. And similar to Medicare Advantage plans, right? Medicare Advantage theoretically didn't really start till 2005, but this was something kind of like that at the time. Lasted 2 or 3 years and then it didn't work. And they pulled everybody out and canceled everybody. My dad had 200 or 300 people on his book terminated, and he didn't have any employees. He was working completely on his own. He took that as you know, over the next 6 months, I need to look at this as an opportunity to grow my book. And he tripled the size of his business throughout that, right? Like I think about that all the time in times of crisis. You know, I remember he told me a story, you know, he's like, I told your mother I'm not going to be around much. And she said it was okay. And then when I wasn't around, she started to complain. I said, remember we talked about this.
It's a really, really great story, though, that illustrates what could happen for some of these agents that are really scared right now.
There have been multitude of times, like you talk about Part D going into effect in 05, 06, right? That was a new thing that had never existed before. Medicare Advantage plans becoming onto the fray, right? Like people could have viewed it as like, oh, I've always traditionally sold Medicare Supplement and now Advantage plans are coming in. I'm doomed. Did most of you know that for the first couple of years, at least of that agents couldn't sell United Healthcare plans? They were captive only, right?
I didn't know that.
So you had to compete against them as an agent. Like
I have a memory of early on, right when I got my license. Again, I started really on the life side, but talking to other agents who were on the Medicare side, I mean, I remember conversations and them talking about how it was really pure chaos. This was like 2011, 2012, 2013. And it was just one of those things where it was like the agents were anticipating their book to be terminated almost every AEP. And I remember at the time being like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would anybody want to sell Medicare Advantage? And I remember having that thought. Again, there's no money in Medicare. You know, that's what I was being told. But this kind of, again, this speaks to the history. Like when you know the history, I think it gives you a different perspective of the current situation, you know?
Yeah. It's just there have been multiple systematic changes over the years, over the decades, that have directly affected our space or parallel spaces, right? You could say Medicare, ACA, right? Like, you know, parallel in a lot of ways.
Yep.
that there were people that ran for the hills, certainly. They went and jumped into some MLM, right? Like Handy Dandy Vacuum or something,
Yep.
But there were people that stuck it out, saw it for what it was as opportunity, and built and grew and expanded during that time. And they remained in the industry for years, decades after the fact, had a long, fruitful career. So, like, do I think that this is an extinction level event, more dramatic than any of the things I mentioned? No, I don't.
There was something that I read recently from someone in the industry, and I felt like this was a really simple explanation of a simple way of giving you guys comfort of the sky not falling. And it was the idea that despite all these call centers, right? Because I know that's a big thing here. We talked about it on our conspiracy episode. This idea that call centers are just going to, carriers are going to work directly with call centers and all independent agents and brokers are going to get wiped out. Despite what some of you might think or you've heard, independent agents and brokers make up the majority of transactions in the Medicare industry. Is that true or false, Mr. Brindle?
I've heard conflicting data on that over the years. So I don't know if I even know for sure, to be honest with you.
I don't have the exact numbers, and it's probably one of those things where even if you could pull some type of stat, it's hard to say what the actual reality is. I believe that if it's not the majority, it's at least close, right? It's at least 40%, 50%. So the idea is that individually, we might not make up much. Even if, you could be an independent agent or you could be a small agency owner, and it's really easy to think, they don't care about me, I'm going to get wiped out. But collectively, we have actually a lot of the overall volume in the industry. So in that sense, when the pendulum swings back and we see stability in the marketplace and carriers are now starting to aggressively try to get more market share, which they 100% will. These are publicly traded companies. The shareholders demand a profit. That means they have to grow. Okay. So yes, there's some instability, there's a little bit of chaos. There's it's not stable ground in the same way that it has been. But when things stabilize and it comes out to the other side, I believe that we will be heavily incentivized again as an independent agent, as an agent broker force, because we make up such a huge volume collectively. I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of applications that we as small agents put together for the carriers. So from that perspective, in my mind, it's like, how could the sky fall and eliminate us when the carriers need us really more than ever, right? Because if you think about it, there's going to be less agents, things stabilize. Now they need their plans more than ever. Well, then there's less of us. Like, I don't know, this idea that we're getting wiped out. It just, there's no math, there's no dollar signs where it makes sense to me. Like, I don't see anywhere where you can point to it and be like, oh yeah, this is the end. It all points in the other direction to me. There's more opportunity. The carriers need us more than ever. The beneficiaries need us more than ever. Like, all of it points to opportunity to me, not to this extinction level event that the doomers and the Chicken Littles are uniting and trying to Paul Revere this message through the industry right now. The end is coming. The end is coming. Get out. Solar. Sell real estate. Get out. Get out. Get out. It's like, no, not even close. There's never been so much opportunity.
And I, in my opinion, I think we tell you guys a lot of this encouraging, positive message in some ways to our own detriment, because it helps me so much if a bunch of you get out. Like, it's so good for me.
No, Christian, no,
it's so good for me.
No. I want you all gone.
Not our agents. Our agents stick around. Let's grow. Let's get to work. But all the rest of you, like, it helps me a ton if you get out. I'm just saying, like, so like, but I provide. So I could jump on the bandwagon, being like, it's look at this. This just dropped. It's time. I could just
line
gas,
up.
I could just gaslight, and be like, yeah, need the Kool-Aid? I'm providing Kool-Aid.
Brindletown 2025.
Welcome to the summit. Here's your Kool-Aid. But I think we both feel a responsibility to be a positive light, a positive force for the industry in a way with our messaging and tell the truth about what's going on.
I genuinely feel for the newer agents. I genuinely feel for the agents who don't understand what's going on, who may have been misled, or they may see some information from someone else. One thing that I've said so many times on the show, and I want to say again now, is like, you really need to understand that the vast majority of agents aren't going to be selling a lot. I mentioned that collectively we make up a huge volume, and that's true. I don't know what that number is, and it fluctuates year to year, but collectively the agent force that's not part of a call center, that's not part of a carrier directly, the independent agent, the broker force, we make up a massive volume. However, 80% of us sell 4 or 5 apps per year or less. So you have a lot of us who don't really do much business, who are talking a lot. So I do feel that there is this responsibility to try to cut through the fog of war here and give you guys, a reality check.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's probably in some ways more financially beneficial to us if there's less of you. That's the reality, is like, in some ways, that type of consolidation, and less competition, right? It could be that way. We could lean into that. We could go full dark.
You're
so excited, but so that smile.
So that
yeah.
That post that I referenced earlier, right? That I put in the Facebook group over the weekend. Like, there were a lot of interesting comments on that. I was very interested and intrigued to see what people had to say. One in particular that we were talking about before we got on was, friend of the show, friend of the Facebook group, Cameron Giardini, also, villain of the industry in a sense. Like, you think I'm the villain. Some of you think I'm the villain.
I'll say this about Cameron Giardini. Cameron, I hope you hear this. I've never seen Cameron wear a pair of pants in my life, so take that with a grain of salt, whatever you want about what he says. I would give him an award. If I had a plaque or a trophy here, it'd be the most sarcastic agent in the entire industry. I've never seen a level of sarcasm so high. It's incredible, the level of sarcasm he's achieved. Now, that being said,
and I want like his comment was very interesting and
very interesting comment from Mr. Giardini.
To preface that too, right? Like, I like Cameron a bunch. I think we both like Cameron a bunch.
Yes,
I'm
tagging him. I'm tagging him.
A personal relationship with Cameron. Cameron built a very great agency, him and his mom together in Giardini Medicare. They did an acquisition with Senior Market Sales this year. So like Cameron's knows what he's talking about, right? It doesn't come from a place of like, he doesn't know. So his opinion should mean something, I think, to a lot of you. That being said, I don't always agree with everything he said. And, more or less, I mean, what was the basis of his comment to you?
The comment was, it was very Yoda-esque. I commented a Yoda meme underneath because I'm just like, what is this, Mr. Giardini? It was getting, because again, this goes back to the post that Christian mentioned, where someone was basically like, time to get out. And Cameron's comment was, getting out now would probably be stupid, but starting now might also be stupid. So it was like this Confucius level of, if you're trying to quit now, like, you're probably missing out on a ton of opportunity and a ton of growth. Because again, he's seeing that same kind of short-term trajectory that I think you and I are seeing, right? Again, Cameron's been in the industry for a while. So I think, he's seeing opportunity, big opportunity, I think, for the interim. But the flip side is what I think he's trying to say. And I'd be curious if he were to comment here on the stream. But I think he's saying that, for a brand new agent, it might be really difficult to start in this environment.
And I don't think that's wrong necessarily, right? Like, do I think it was easier to start from scratch 5 years ago or today? Well, certainly 5 years ago, right? Pre-Chiquita.
Chiquita. Chiquita. Miss Chiquita.
So, certainly I understand that perspective, but, I also would say if somebody comes in and they have proper guidance, proper mentorship, proper, systems that they can plug into, I think there is a lot of opportunity right now because there are a lot of agents getting out. There will be overall less competition. You watch this AEP.
Oh, no doubt.
There's going to be less competition. There's going to be more people that are looking for help. Like there have been some AEPs where it seems like there's a lot of people that are just like, I'm good. I don't need to change. There's not much going on. That probably won't be the case this AEP. It certainly wasn't last AEP.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we had our biggest AEP ever last year, but there was a lot of doom and gloom last year too.
Totally. And we're gonna have our best. There's no doubt in my mind we're gonna have our biggest, best AEP we've ever had, and there's more doom and gloom than we've ever seen. So it's not always what everyone says. Now that being said, something that I was thinking a lot about this Cameron comment specifically, and like what's going on with the industry. And the industry is in crisis, and the sky is falling. Right. I was trying to think of like the best analogy to give agents, and one that came to mind for me was the annuity industry. When you look at kind of how cyclical the annuity industry can be, right? If the stock market is crushing, good fucking luck selling an annuity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's legit. You go and I'm telling you that as an annuity agent, I've written annuities before. I've sat down with Mr. and Mrs. Jones and said, "Oh, how would you feel about a guaranteed 5-6%, right? Whatever, the annuities guaranteeing the return on." And then Mr. Jones pulls out his last statement from his retirement fund, and he's like, "Well, it looks like I did 37% last year. Why would I want to invest in like 100%?" I've had these conversations, right?
Yeah.
However, what's the flip side of this, you guys?
The stock market goes the other way. It's volatile, and an annuity is not. So yeah, it's.
And then what happens? When the stock market's falling out of the sky? What's happening with the annuity agents?
They're crushing. They're bringing it home, as they say. Yeah, I think it's a great point. Like,
cyclical.
It's almost tied together in a lot of ways. Like the biggest gains on the stock market I've ever had is when everything is plummeting. Like in 2020, I was buying everything.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was great.
It was awesome.
It was so great. I wish it happened all the time. Not all the time, because then it would never go back up. But yeah, I think it's a really valid point. I mean, my message, I know we're kind of at top of time, so I want to move into final thoughts. I mean, you guys, my message, I hope you understand what it is. It's been relatively consistent that we are in a shift, and the market needs to stabilize. I've said this a lot. The market needs to stabilize. It's going to take a little time. It's going to take a couple years. Doesn't mean there's not opportunity right now, but the industry is not going to just magically disappear in 24 months. Like, it's just not going to happen. Oppose something insane, Trump comes out one day and is like, I've been thinking what you said, Bernie, and you're right. Feel the burn. Like, I don't see that happening.
We're going one pair. Do your RFK. Do your RFK.
I don't think we should go one pair.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny, dude. We've got to get Christian out of the industry and into the acting world, you guys. He has a real career ahead of him. This is just a stepping stone. Sorry, continue. Final thoughts. Continue.
So, I think there's opportunity to be had here. Cut through the noise, cut through the fluff, crush this AEP, buy some leads, get some marketing, participate in Med Supp Awareness Month, jump into the university.
Med Supp Awareness Month.
Jump into the university and just cram like you're me in high school about to take a test that you didn't study for the night before. Like, cram, and then and then hopefully you get better than a C-.
Boom.
But didn't fail.
These get degrees. These get degrees.
Yes. So yeah, that's kind of my final thoughts on it. The sky is not falling. Everything's gonna be okay. Every single Jedi. Sorry, I just kind of went off the rails there a little bit.
Trump picks up the phone. He's just like, execute Order 66. Eliminate all commissions and renewals for insurance brokers.
He has the hood on.
No!
He has the hood on.
General Grievous.
JD Vance is like, I'll do whatever you ask.
All right, we got to get off this stream. Guys, my final thoughts on today's episode. Obviously, as invested and committed as I am in this space, in the Medicare broker space, Christian and I co-owning and operating 5 different companies. And I said this before, is like, we are very deep with you guys on many different levels, on marketing, on training, on events. You're in our downline, you work for us directly. Like, there's so many different ways that we work with you guys here in the Medicare industry. I have yet, despite the amount of information that people have tried to share, that people have tried to create, that people have tried to post about the end coming, about the sky falling, about the rapture happening, it has been yet to have a single information point or data point. I have yet to see one where I am genuinely concerned that this is the end of the industry. It has not happened, period. Hard stop. This idea that the industry is ending, that it's time to get out now, that is just sensationalism. It's extremism. Yep. I haven't seen it. And my actions, I think, speak louder than my words on this. If I genuinely thought Medicare was ending, you would see me making a hard left. I'm getting into something else where we're now a life insurance only FMO. Like, you would see some crazy move by me because I'm trying to stay ahead of the game. That's how I operate. You're not going to see that, right? You're not going to see ESI stop contracting agents for Medicare. We're not making some left turn here because we don't see that happening. We don't see an industry ending event happening. So this whole idea that the sky is falling, anytime you see it being shared, you really need to take it with a grain of salt and understand that most likely the person on the other end that's sharing that information is, either A, not going to sell anything, or B, they're selling such small volume that they want misery wants company, right?
Yep. They're
not making any money in the industry. So, hey, come join me. Come not make any money. Come not sell any app with me.
Come
right?
not make any money.
That's what I see. That's the messaging that I see happen. if you look at the top producers, the top agency owners, the biggest FMOs, nobody's getting out of the industry. Nobody's making these hard left-hand turns. Nobody's like, hey, the Medicare industry is ending, I need to get out. That's only coming from the smallest agents that I'm aware of. You know, maybe there's a few exceptions to that, but that's my final thoughts, you guys, on today's episode.
Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Episode 160. If you enjoyed this episode, regardless of the platform that you choose to take in the content today on, give us a like, comment, subscribe, 5-star review, whatever the platform of your choice will allow you to do. And until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching. Here's to your massive success and happy October 1st. Thanks, everybody.